Good afternoon, Year 5. We are doing our history lesson today, and actually our history for this term is not particularly themed, which means that actually you guys have got a little bit more say on it. But anyway, for today we are looking at using a timeline to order significant events in history. So we should be able to name and date some significant events in the past. And we should be able to find the date. Obviously, if we don't already know it, we should be able to work out a way in which we can find out the information that we need. So, obviously, for those of you at home, this part isn't really going to work, although you could write down some things that you already know about time travel or the past. You could also write down some of the things that you might like to find out. For those children at school, we need to fill in our KWL grids. So know, what I want to know, and what I have learned. Of course, we never fill in the learnt, the L part, until the end of the term. So the children at school will fill in their learnt part of the KWL grid from last term, and then we're going to fill in the what we already know and what we want to find out part of the grid. So those of you at home, can you just bullet point for me what you already know about time travel? Is time travel even possible? How would we know? Maybe tell me a few things about the past, and tell me what you would like to find out. So pause the video here and just make a few bullet point notes. Fantastic, welcome back. I look forward to finding out all about the things that you already know. Let's move on nice and quickly. So we are thinking about the things that we have already learned. So have a little think, what historical events have you already learned about since you have been at Cuxton? So think back to year 1, and when I taught in year 1, we did the Great Fire of London. We looked at dinosaurs. What else did we look at? We looked at the moon landing. I think those were our 3 main things when I taught in year 1. What did you do in year 2, year 3, year 4, etc.? So have a little think. Again, pause the video here and have a little think. And when you come back, we are going to add some to a mind map. So you might want to start a mind map now. Okay, so I've already said to you the Great Fire of London was one. Oops. Twist that so that it fits properly. Okay, we have done the moon landing. We have done, what did we do? Year 3, we did the Romans. We did the Stone Age as well. We did Stone Age to Iron Age, didn't we? What else have we done? You did, what did you do in year 4? 1066. What was 1066? Well done, Battle of Hastings. Oh. Oh. You did, I believe, the Anglo-Saxons in year 4. That comes into that. And then in year 5 so far, we've had a little look at the Greeks. We have looked, of course, last term we did ancient Egypt. We did the Tudors, didn't we? Quite a few things on there that you have done already, and I may well have missed some that you've got already. If I have, then please do put yours onto your mind map. It's not a problem. Now, do you know anything about any of these events? Can you remember anything? If you can, brilliant, add them to your mind map. You can pause the video and do that now. If you don't, that's fine. Do we know the dates of any of them? Of course, we've already looked at the Battle of Hastings, and I've given you the date for that one. That one's always easy to remember. I don't know why, but it is one of those that's one that we do tend to remember. Are there any others that we know the date for? How could we find the date for them? Absolutely, we could research. So, using your mind map, what I would like you to do is to go away for a moment. You can pause me, minimize, open a new web browser, etc. Can you find some of the dates and maybe a piece of information about each of the things that we have popped onto our mind map? And that will bring us on nicely to the next part, because the next part you will have some cards, but I will go on to that in a minute. So pause the video, and can you go and find for me some dates for the following? Okay, so I have had a little look as well. I found the Tudors. I had 1485 to 1603. Roman, sorry, let me just move my pad. 27 BC to 476 AD. I had Stone Age, 8700 BC to 2000 BC. And then Iron Age, I had 500 BC to 332 BC. Please do, if you found something different, that is fine. And I just Googled each one to make sure that I had them. I couldn't remember them all off the top of my head. I had 450 to 1066, and that's AD. Ancient Egyptians, I had 3100 BC to 332 BC. Moon landing, I had 1969. The Great Fire of London, I had 1666. And the ancient Greeks, this one took me a while to find, but I found 700 to 700, where's it gone, to 480 BC. Those were the ones that I found. You might have found something different. Hopefully we've got the same, and that means that we've got the correct answers. Okay, and hopefully you found out a little bit of information about each, because that will just make it so much better. And hopefully you've put a little bit of information underneath each on your mind map. Now, moving on, I have got for you some cards, and they look like this. Okay, they look like this. I'm just going to pop that into a slideshow. Okay, they have not got any dates on them. They're not in the correct order. So the next thing that you need to do is you need to use the cards. You need to try and work out what dates you think these things happened. Again, you might need to Google some of them. If you've got a history book, even better. But see whether you can find the dates for them. Pause the video, come back to me when you're ready, and we will have a little look at some of the answers and see whether you were right. So have a go and come back to me in a minute. Okay, super stuff. Hopefully you are back and you have had a go at some of those. That's not the correct one. So let's have a little look and see whether you were right. Please bear in mind these are not in the correct order, but the first one that we're going to look at is the Roman Empire, and the time for that was 600 BC to 476 AD, which I think is very different to what I had written down before. Okay, Pompeii buried by eruption of Mount Vesuvius, 79 AD. I remember us learning about this before in year 3 when I had you all. We watched a long video and it was really good, of the eruption coming over Pompeii. Vikings, 750 to 1060 AD. Ancient Greece, 800 BC. Let me just move myself out of the way. To 146 BC. Ancient Egypt, we hopefully have all got this one right, seeing as we did this one last term. 4500 BC. Was that what I'd written down? No, it wasn't. To 332 BC. It's funny, isn't it, when we Google things? It just goes to show you that sometimes Google doesn't have the answers, or the first answer perhaps is not always the best answer. The Celts, we've had a look at those before as well when we did the Romans. 600 BC to 50 AD. Battle of Hastings, we already knew, was 1066. The Black Death, that is the plague, 1348 to 1350 AD. The Magna Carta, 1215 AD. The Anglo-Saxons, 410 to 1066 AD. The Tudors, we did those this year, 1485 to 1600 AD. Shakespeare being born was 1564 AD. We've got the Gunpowder Plot was 1605 AD. The Great Plague, 1665 AD. The Great Fire of London, 1666 AD. The Discovery of Gravity, 1667. The abolition of the slave trade, 1807 AD. World War I, 1914 to 1918 AD. The Victorians, 1837 to 1901 AD. Please make sure you've written these down. Do go back and start this bit again if you need to. World War II, 1939 to 1945 AD. And the moon landing, 1969 AD. So please make sure you have got those, because the next thing that we need to do is to start to have a little look at the timeline. So we're looking at the timeline prehistory and history, so 3000 BC to nowadays. Okay, we're looking at a timeline like this, and just as this one has been labelled, we are going to do very much the same thing using our own. So you will find a timeline that looks just like this one on the web page. You have already got your cards. You hopefully have written the dates on them already, and you can move your cards around and just stick them with the correct lines so that they fit. Now this one, Ancient Egypt, is 4500 BC to 332 BC. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick that in this light blue area, because actually, although it did start before this time, it finished within this time. So for that reason, I'm going to pop that one in here, and I'm going to pop that about there. Okay, I've got the Tudors, 1485 to 1600. Oh, I've got that sits in here between these two. So again, I'm going to actually stick that one in this orange part because again, where it finishes is somewhere between these two dates. So for me, I think that works the best. So just as I am, you are going to arrange, I know you've got many more cards than I have. You're going to arrange your cards accordingly. And again, ancient Greece and ancient Egypt both need to sit in here. And they kind of overlap a little bit, don't they? Okay, then I've got 600 BC. A lot of these are going to fit in around the same sort of area. Okay, this one's going to sit up here. This one's also going to sit up here. Okay, 600 BC to 476 AD. This AC is after Christ. It should be AD for Anno Domini, which is the AD, which essentially means the same. It means the birth of Christ. So BC before Christ, Anno Domini after Christ was born. So that's why you've got AC rather than AD there. And actually, I'm going to put that one right on the line because the start of that is where this one finished. If you look here, you've got 476, and you've got that here. So that one works quite nicely. So as I say, you need to arrange your cards in the correct order as best you can. I'm going to put that one up there and this one down here because they're quite close to each other. And I know you've got many more cards than I have. If you feel that you could make your own timeline, please feel free to. For us guys at school, we're going to do ours outdoors. We're going to make a washing line with the cards so that we can spread those out across the classroom. So if you want to be creative and do something like that, perhaps you could pin them on your washing line out in the garden, and that would work really nicely. Please feel free to do so. So you're using the cards that you have written on. Hopefully you found the date out, and on those same cards as an added bonus, if you could find some extra information out about them, that would be fantastic. But you don't have to, because of course the aim of the lesson was to be able to order the significant events in history. So providing you have managed this part, then you have met your learning intention for today, which is brilliant. So have a good go. Send us your pictures of your outcome, and we'll look forward to seeing them. So have a lovely rest of the day. See you later, Year 5.